The New York City subway moves millions of people a day, but at one station, it's not just the trains and people that are moving, it's the platforms too. Why is there sometimes a gap between the train and a platform? Well, it could be one of multiple reasons. Sometimes the platforms along a train's route have different sizes. For example, some Shinkansen trains in Japan have to share tracks with other big bullet trains and with narrower regional trains. To fit on the regional lines, they need to be narrow too, but that means that there's a gap when they're on the high speed line. But more often than not, there's a gap because the station was built where there's a curve in the tracks. See, trains aren't like a slinky toy or a snake. They can't just bend anywhere. They turn at the ends of the cars. So when the platform is curved, it leaves gaps. And a gap can be dangerous for passengers. You don't want to fall in between the platform and the train. So what can a train company do about this? Well, there are a few solutions. You could install a retractable step underneath the train doors, and this is a very common solution in Europe. Almost all modern trains have this. Or you could have the step come out of the platform. This is a popular solution in Japan. As many as 200 stations on the Tokyo subway system have been retrofitted with these gap-filling steps in recent years. But one system on the other side of the world has had moving platforms fill the gap for over a century. And today, I've come to New York City to check it out. Hey everybody, welcome to a brand new Trains Are Awesome video. I'm Tom, and as you can see, I'm in New York City. I just arrived here on the Amtrak Maple Leaf from Toronto. I've got about an hour and a half before I have to go catch my bus to DC. The perfect excuse to make another New York City subway video. All right, it's a path entrance, but it'll get me to the N or the Q train, which is what I need to take. So here's the plan for today. I'm about to get on the R train and take it down 3 stops to 14th Street Union Square, where we'll walk over to the 4, 5, 6 platforms and check out today's main feature. After that, I'll take the L and then the A back to Midtown to get on my bus. I thought I was going to take the N or the Q, but the local is actually faster. I think there just wasn't an express coming for a while.
It's like the overture.
All right, I made it to Union Square Station. Now here you can see something really cool that it used to be at more stations, but now it's only at this station. So we're walking to the platforms of the 4, 5, and 6 trains, which is the oldest part of the station, having opened in 1904 as part of the original New York City subway. Now the first thing we notice about these platforms is that there is a big curve in them. And like I mentioned, curves can cause gaps between the train and the platform. On the uptown platform, that's not such a huge problem, but on the downtown platform, there is a solution to bridging the gap. If you notice on the platforms as well as signs hanging everywhere, there are warnings to stand clear of the moving platform. And here comes a Brooklyn Bridge City Hall bound 6 train. Pay close attention to the metal edge of the platform once the train comes to a halt. See, the curved platform wasn't much of a problem when the station first opened because the trains only had doors at the end of the cars, and so they lined up nicely with the platform. But in 1914, not only were the platforms extended to accommodate longer trains, but the trains also started receiving doors in the middle, and suddenly there was a big gap. So in 1914, these platform gap fillers, or moving platforms, whatever you want to call them, were installed. That's right, these things are over 110 years old. And they use hydraulic power to move. Now, initially they were actually manually operated, so somebody would have to set them in motion, but since the 1960s, there are sensors that sense when the train has come to a stop, and then the hydraulics kick in and push the things against the train. Pretty cool, right? Something strange I noticed when researching this was that a lot of people online were very negative about them, saying things along the lines of course, this is an American solution, why not just announce that there's a gap? But I'm thinking to myself, if places like Japan are actively installing this, and we always talk about Japan as being such a modern system, which we should, I lived there for 10 years, it's a great train system, then why are people giving the New York City subway flack for something that they were actually ahead of the curve on? Now, these things aren't entirely without their problems. In 2010, a man got stuck between the moving platform and a train, ended up suing the city and winning his case. Other than that, I believe they are fairly incident-free, and having a gap filler like this is useful. It just lessens the risk of getting your foot stuck between the train and the platform or other sorts of injuries, as long as you're paying attention while they're moving. I would say that they're useful for people in wheelchairs or other mobility devices, but there are no elevators to the platform. In fact, engineers have said that the platforms are too narrow up where the mezzanines are to even install elevators, so it'll likely never become accessible. Now, one question you may still have is, why are the platforms curved? Why not just build a straight platform and you never have to install these in the first place? Well, that has to do with the way that this line was built. Like I said, this was the original New York City subway, opening from City Hall to 42nd Street in 1904, and it used a construction method known as cut and cover. So they would dig in the street, lay the tracks, and then cover up the tunnels. That means you have to follow the street. Right at Union Square is where Park Avenue turns into 4th Avenue, and so there's a curve in the street, meaning there had to be a curve in the platform, meaning we have the situation that we have today. So this is the very last place where you can see that. They've removed it during station renovations at all the other locations where that was previously a feature. Now today I won't be riding the 4, 5, or 6. I'm actually going to get on the L train now, one of the lines that I've never been on before. So I checked the time and I had actually gotten done at Union Square quicker than I thought I did. So since I had a little bit of time, I decided to go for a joyride and go the wrong direction 2 stops to 1st Avenue, grab a snack, and then take the L train to 8th Avenue to transfer to the A. All right, 1st Avenue, let's run and get some food. That was my first time on the L train. All right, this is 8th Avenue and 14th Street, last stop on the L. Let's go to the A, C, and E. While I was transferring, I noticed these really cute bronze statues everywhere. Turns out they're an art project. They're called Life Underground, and they were created by artist Tom Otterness in 2001. There are so many different characters and scenes depicted all across the station. There's really something for everyone.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
This might be an unpopular opinion, probably not so much among my viewers, but still, I love the New York City subway. I love the artwork, the music, the noises of the trains, and the people that you see along the way. I really should feature it more on the channel. I have a ton of footage of the New York City subway. It's just a matter of editing it into stories like this one. Anyway, as I had done with the L train, I realized that I really did have a decent amount of time before I had to catch my bus. So once I got to 34th Street, I decided to wait and see if I could catch an R211A, one of the brand new trains built by Kawasaki. And sure enough, I was in luck because the next train behind us was one of these new Kawasaki trains, so I rode it to 59th Street and then rode it back to 34th Street.
This is an accessible station.
This time, seriously, I'm leaving the subway to get on my bus back to DC.
All right, back on 34th Street. Time to walk to the bus.
If you enjoyed this video or learned something new, please consider subscribing to Trains Are Awesome. We have so much more great content coming, and we'd love to have you along for the ride. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.